Hey Stitch family, it's Andrew here with another Stitch community update. This week I am super excited to tell you about something we're about to introduce to the community that we think is going to make a massive difference to the amount of engagement and activity and connections that you're all making in the community. So I can't wait to talk about it. It's called Suggestions and it's really, really exciting. We want to get your feedback. So before we get into it, just want to remind you, you can do your bit to help grow and promote the community by just simply liking this video on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribing to our channel. If you are a Stitch member, go to the support site and search how to leave a review for Stitch, because leaving a positive review on the App Store or the Play Store or a bunch of other places really, really helps promote the community. And of course, the more people that join the community, the better it is for you, better it is for all of us. Because the more activity and the more fun everybody has. And finally, you can also promote Stitch, of course, by going to the Stitch store, store.stitch.net, which you'll find up on the More menu on Stitch. And you can get great merch like this. Get Stitched. Other t-shirts, there's caps, there's hats, there's badges, there's you name it. There's a whole bunch of other things we can make as well based on member suggestions. So if you've got an idea for something you'd like to see, we're very happy to do it. I love it when I see at Stitch events people are ripping Stitch and rocking their Stitch merch to promote the community, because it really does help spread the word, and it shows us that you're proud of being a member. So that's really awesome. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get on to what we're really here to talk about, which is the idea of making suggestions on Stitch. Can we get started? All right, so a bit of background. Our goal with Stitch is to create social connections around doing things together, because we know friendships are formed, not found, and you form a friendship by doing things. So that's why activities are so important as part of the backbone of the community. It's not just what you say you're interested in, it's what you actually go and do. So our kind of philosophy is that everyone in the community has some things they would like to do, they just don't necessarily have people to do them with. And not just common sense, but science tells us that doing things with others generally increases our well-being. There's lots of things going on in our brain. Once we shared activities, we create bonds that are really good for us. It's just generally all around good. Not everything, I like to read a book on my own, for example, but there are plenty of things that are great to do with other people. And so the way we built Stitch from the beginning was, we just ask you to suggest something and things grow from there. And we've accomplished amazing things. If you look at some of our really active communities, let's take a look at just what's happening in Sydney at the moment. This is in the next couple of days. There are hundreds and hundreds of events of just in-person activities happening because, people have found this is a great way to get connected. The thing is, that's not always the case, and it's particularly not the case when a community is getting started, because while some people might be a little bit extroverted, I started, I wouldn't think twice about suggesting something, but we've learned that not everyone's the same. Not everyone feels confident enough to just organize an activity for other people, particularly people they don't know yet. If they're joined in an area and it's new, or the community hasn't started, or they might simply just not be the organizer type. So, if 5 or 10% of people are willing to organize events, that means 90% of people don't want to, but they still have things they'd like to do. So if you're one of those people, I've got great news for you, because this is a new change to Stitch that really allows you to do that, to make your suggestion without being on the hook to organize a single thing. And that's the idea of suggestions. So you might, maybe you are open to the idea of organizing an event, but you don't really want to do it until you know people are interested. Maybe you are a well-experienced Stitch organizer, but there's something new you want to try, and you just want to put some feelers out to see if people are interested. We had one suggestion from one of our members. She wants to organize a wine tasting trip to a couple of hours from where she lives. So she wants to put it out to members in the community, but she doesn't want to fix a date until she knows who can come and when they can come. So that's a scenario. We've got scenarios where people just say, look, I really never want to be an organizer, but I would love it if I could meet some other people who are interested in the sorts of things that I'd like to do. And if one of them turns it into an organized event, that's great. If not, and we do it together, Stitch has done its job, which is actually getting like-minded people connected around the activities they'd like to do or the interests they have in common. Okay, so here's how it works. I'm going to show you on the screen in a second, but just to get you familiar with the idea is instead of, as you do today, creating an activity, and if you create an activity, you need to have not just the name of it and a suggestion for what you'd like to do, but a date and a venue and a location. You need to know how many people are going to come, and you need to have all of these things kind of lined up. A suggestion is like that, but without all of the hard stuff. So you click the same button and you say, instead of organizing something, you just like to suggest something. Just a suggestion, that's all. You'll get asked. The flow is very similar to the way activities work today. You'll get asked, what is it you'd like to do? Can you please tell people why you'd like to do it, and a few details, and that's cool. And then that's it. You post it, and it gets reviewed by the Stitch team like usual, and it gets posted onto the activities page. That's all you need to do. There's no commitment to organize anything. You're just saying, this is something I would like to do. Who else is interested? At that point, people in the area will be notified. And this is only for local people in your local area, because that's our real focus. Is now that we've got such a great community globally, we're trying to get more of those local communities up and vibrant the way they are that I just showed you in Sydney. So, it's not just Sydney, other locations, but we need a lot more of those local activities. So people in the area will find out, but importantly, anyone else who comes along and joins after that, they will also go to the activities page and they can see your suggestion. They click on it, they can click a button to say they are interested, and the two of you get connected. That's it. There's no obligation for either of you to actually organize an event. You might suggest just catching up for coffee, and you end up catching up for coffee, going to a movie or whatever. You can do that. That's fine. Stitch will have done its job, it's connected with you with someone who's got similar interests. But over time, you might find a bunch of people say that they're interested in your suggestion. And one of you, and you start chatting, and one of you says, you know what, I'll post that to the community. That example I gave before about someone wanting to do wine tasting. She might get 5 people who said they're interested. They agree on the date they're going to do it, but they're open to having a couple more. So they can post that to the Stitch activities page as an organized activity because they've got the date, they've got all that sort of stuff, and then they can get more people. But it's totally up to you. It's low stress, low pressure. The only obligation you've got if you suggested something, it'll go up on the activities page, is if someone expresses an interest in it and says, hey, Andrew, I'm interested in this thing. We just ask that you respond. Now you might say, well, actually, I'm no longer interested in that thing, and you can take it down. But you just need to reply. If a bunch of people say they're interested in something with you and you just don't respond to them, then it'll get taken down because there's no use us showing something to people that's not real. But that's all. You just need to reply, and Stitch, the community will have done its job to get you connected with someone who's got your interests. It could be something quite simple, like if you're in a community that hasn't quite started yet, but you might say, hey, who'd like to catch up for coffee? I'm just putting it out there. We can do something. Or it might be something really obscure and esoteric that that not many people are going to want to do. You might want to go skydiving. So you don't want to fix a date, but you'd love to find someone who can give you the courage to go off together. Wouldn't that be cool? So you put your skydiving idea up there. Maybe no one responds for a while. Maybe not. Skydiving is not the most popular activity in our community, but someone will come along eventually and say, yeah, I'll give it a go. If you're in my area, I'll give it a go. I like the idea of skydiving, but anyway, it's up to you. So that's all you need to do. You just need to be responsive and let the community itself will do the rest. If you get connected with other people who give you the confidence to organize an event, that's great. They might want to organize an event, but you don't have to. You don't have to at all. All we're trying to do is get you connected to other members in the area. Okay, so that's a general picture. I'll just give you a quick whirl through how it looks so that you can see it for yourself. All right, just as you do today, you go to the activities page and hit suggest an activity. What's different, what you're going to notice that's different, is that now you have the choice of whether you are organizing an activity or you're just suggesting something. And if you're just not ready to organize something yet, hit the suggest button. At that point, you'll be asked some similar questions that you might be familiar with from the activities page, but most of them, there are a lot of questions you won't be asked, and some of them will be optional. So you'll see here, you'll give it a title to your activity. You are then asked for a personal message that you might want to explain why you might think it would be great. There's some background about what you're inviting people to and why you'd like to do it. You have to put in some details. And here we ask for a little bit of, a couple of hundred characters here. The more you can put in, the better. Remember, you're trying to describe the thing that you would like to do so that other people, it might be appealing to them. You might have a particular cafe in mind, or an area, or a time of day, or whatever it happens to be. So here's something I might have prepared earlier, a bit of a description about my suggestion, and try to put in as much as you can. If there's a date that you have in mind, then you can put it in, but you don't have to. So here's an example of why you might use a date. There might be an Elton John concert coming up, and you'd really like to go, but you only really want to go with someone if they're willing, but you know the date is on at this day. Or it might be you want to go see the Falling Leaves in upstate New England, upstate New York, or somewhere like that. But you know that the Falling Leaves are only for a certain period, so your event really only applies until that time of year is finished, and after that it's not valid. So you can put a date down, but you don't have to. It's just more about at what point is this suggestion kind of valid, and after this, Stitch will remove it. And then apart from that, you just hit submit. Like I said, that goes through to the Stitch team. We'll review it, and if it's all appropriate, then it'll get published, and away you go. At that point, you don't need to do anything. For other members in the area, they will get notified about this suggestion, and they can respond to you. Or, they might come along to the activities page and they'll see it. This is what it looked like on the page. It looks very much like any other activity. They click in, and the difference is, instead of actually looking at the date and attending, what they're going to do is just say that they're interested. When they express an interest, Stitch will connect you and them, so that then there's a message that goes to you to say they're interested in the activity. That's all. At that point, it's up to you to send a response back. And that's the only thing we ask. If someone sends you a message and says they're interested, we need you to respond, because obviously it would be pretty sad if we had all these suggestions up there and no one was actually responding to them. So you just need to respond. You might say, look, I suggested this thing, but I've since broken my leg. I can't go skydiving, but I'll do it later on. Or you might decide to take it down. Just respond. If you consistently don't respond to people, then your suggestions will start to vanish from the activities page. If you don't like them anymore, you can just delete them. That's fine too. But that's all it is. There's no pressure. There's no expectation. We would encourage everybody to suggest something. I know that's probably not realistic that everybody's going to suggest something, but come on, you've all got things you wouldn't mind doing. And if you're seeing that there's nothing happening in your area yet, just put a couple of things up there. All it takes is one other person to connect with you. When we started the community in Sydney, we had this idea for how the community might work, but these group events and activities, but we weren't really sure. And we posted a idea for a coffee meetup. We got 4 people to that meetup. 6 people in total, because we had 2 people from the Stitch team, and 4 members came. And we just talked. And that one coffee event turned into this amazingly vibrant community, which we then started to replicate in so many places around the world, with this idea that we can all make the community better, make each other's lives better by just organising, suggesting things we'd like to do that are fun. And the important thing was the people who got connected at that event, they then started to regularly organise things, and it grew and grew and grew. But all it took was getting that initial connection started before things started to roll. So that's the idea. The idea with suggestions is getting you connected, by definition, with someone who's interested in the same sorts of things you are. You'll get connected. You don't have to organise anything if you don't want to. You don't have to follow through. Maybe you both have a different idea. That's fine. You've got connected. But hopefully, we are sure, many of you will find just opening the door for someone to express an interest in your idea, starting to talk about it, and then maybe something will happen, and that's where the magic is. Really excited to see what happens. So please give it a try. Give us your feedback. It's a new idea, and it's not just a feature, but it's a different way of thinking about how to connect with other people in the community. So it's so much about people's behavior. So we're really keen to see how it goes, what you think about it, and please just put a few ideas up. The more the better, the more we'll get to see how it all works, And if you've got suggestions, comments, feedbacks, complaints, you hate us, whatever, send us, let us know. The only way for us to improve things and make the community better for you and for all of us is if we get that feedback. All right, that's it for this week's update. I hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you find it useful, and please give it a try. Until next time, bye for now.